your girl Pandora here. I just got back from an arts therapy group that I participated in, so I'm in a good mood and I'm feeling enthusiastic to talk to you guys more about creativity and its role in my path as a witch, as well as my mental health recovery, and hopefully inspire you guys to do something creative in some way. So it was just a really pleasant couple of hours making art with my peers in mental health recovery who I always enjoy spending time with and learn so much from, and I also had a great chat with my facilitator, so it was a really good experience for my social and emotional well-being. And it's always great to do that mindfulness exercise where you are focusing on that one thing and building, you're relaxed and you're mindful, you're in the moment, and you are building those new pathways in your brain that bring about calmness and focus and all of that good stuff that mental wellness is all about. So it was really great time, and I want to talk to you about creativity. So I'll start with talking to you about my word for the year exercise. Now, I bought this candle from the lovely Fairy Sarah that I want to show you and give a shout out to Fairy Sarah, and I'll put a link to her Handmade Wonderland shop below. This is her card here. And she also gave me this lovely card here with some writing on the back, and it says, "Dearest Gemma, thank you so much for supporting my handmade dreams. Enjoy your spell candle Sovereignty. It was big magic for me last year, and welcome to Art Witch Club. Big love for you, love Fairy." So I think that is just so colourful and beautiful. It says "Blessed be" in gold glitter there, and I really love Fairy Sarah's art because it's so colourful and expressive, as well as being really beautiful. And I love it when artists can put together a nice picture that's pleasing to the eye and looks really pretty, but it's also really expressive. So her art has got just that perfect balance, I feel, and I really love that. So thank you so much, Fairy Sarah. I love your stuff and I will be buying from your shop again. Yes, I'll put all the details below. And it came beautifully wrapped. I bought two things from her, and I'll show you the other one in a second, but it came beautifully wrapped in brown paper with a gold thread, so I will hopefully put that in the thumbnail for the video if I can. We'll see what happens. But it is a Sovereignty candle, so it's got the word Sovereignty on there with a bee and a little honeycomb there, and it has got Melissa essential oil in it. And I've wanted a rolled beeswax candle for a really long time. I would really love to buy more of them, because every time I see people unbox their various subscription boxes, and they've always got invariably a rolled beeswax candle seemingly, and they just look really pretty, and I've really wanted one for a really long time, so I bought one from Fairy Sarah. And Sovereignty was my word for the year last year, and I'll talk to you about my word for the year exercise. So I've been doing it for a few years now, and the intention for doing your word for the year is to just choose a word at the beginning of the year that you want to focus on for that year. So it encompasses your intention, or something that you want to manifest or bring about or focus on for that year. So it's sort of like a New Year's resolution, but kind of just a one word that you want to focus on. So for me, the first one that I ever chose was presence, and at that time my son was quite little, and I was struggling a bit on my motherhood journey, because despite what you may think, mothering does not come instinctually. It is a really big learning curve for any person, let alone somebody with mental health issues, right? So I was struggling quite a lot with my postpartum depression at the time, so I wanted to focus on having that presence with my child and being in the moment, because when you are raising a child and you're parenting, you really want to be in that moment and not in any other, whether they are having a tantrum or a meltdown, or they've just spilled something, or you're helping them learn how to do something. You want to be in that moment and not something potentially traumatic that happened 10, 20, 30 years ago. So having that word for the year of presence to focus on really helped with that, I think. And so my word for the year after that was connection, and that was just a really natural evolution from presence to connection. So I wanted to focus on my connection with my child and the people in my life and the relationships that I wanted to focus on. And my career and where I wanted to go in my life, and the goals and aspirations and dreams that I had, and also my spiritual connection. So that was another really great word for the year. That went really well and things worked out great. And then the word for the year after that was responsibility, and that's where things got interesting, because I did not have a very good responsibility year that year. I was quite irresponsible and things did not go right. So I'm not shy about telling you guys that I had a really bad tarot and oracle buying addiction. I've talked about it on this channel before, but things really got out of hand with the amount of tarot and oracle decks that I was buying and the amount of money that I was spending on them, and how I was kind of getting myself into trouble with my saving and paying my bills and things like that. So that was one way that I did not have a very responsible year. Another thing is that the drinking got a bit out of hand that year, and also I did not have a good time with taking my son to school. So I started the process of having him assessed and diagnosed with ASD. So I didn't cope very well with that year, and also getting him off to kindergarten every morning and doing the whole school run was a little bit of a struggle for me. So I sort of struggled with even with my responsibility as a parent. I kind of just went, oh, like being a parent is so hard. Can I resign? And it's like, no, you cannot resign, because you've got a boss who is really, really the most important person in the world to you, and you just can't. So it's really tough, but without talking too much about it, I kind of got to the end of the year and I went, oh, that didn't go well, but I still want to have a word for the year. So I chose sovereignty, because I was sort of thinking I thought, you know, maybe integrity, authenticity, something like that, you know, something that encompasses stepping into my power. And I thought about power, or you know, that kind of thing. But then I thought those words sounded really dry and boring, and then sovereignty came to me, and I had begun working with the goddess Lilith, who is a goddess of sovereignty. There's other deities that encompass sovereignty as well, but Freya is one of them. And did I say Freya or Lilith? I actually can't remember, and I'm not going to go back and edit. But Freya, I had begun working with the goddess Freya, and Freya is a deity of sovereignty, so that seemed like the perfect word for me. And, you know, stepping into my power and authenticity and integrity were absolutely all things that I wanted to focus on for that year. So I chose that word, and again, things did not go well with sovereignty. I didn't step into my power. There were a lot of times when I kind of shirked away from being in my power and speaking my truth, and I kind of just went to my default of blending into the background and moving to the side and not really being an active participant in what was going on. And yeah, just didn't really have a great sovereignty year at all. However, responsibility started to come forward, and I started to have more responsibility for things. So I became more responsible for my kids. My son started prep. I got the ASD diagnosis sorted out, and all of that got sorted out, and I became more responsible with money. Stopped buying decks for a really, really long time there. I've bought a few decks since then, but really only a few. So I haven't gone as crazy insane with the deck buying, or, you know, the witchy item buying, although I have started recently buying a few more things. But the point is that I've been more responsible with money. I did a program that is run locally through an organisation that I am volunteering for my work placement, called the Cap Money Program, and that's just a really good program that helps people to budget their money and reach their financial goals, get out of debt, all of that good stuff to do with money. So I started saving more money, and I opened up a new bank account with my husband, which was a 2-to-sign account. So I now need his signature to get money out of that account, and that is something that I've agreed to do. I'm a full participant in it. It was my idea, so it's all good. I actually had to convince him and talk him into doing it, because he's like, I don't really want to be that person to tell you whether or not you can get your money out. And I was just like, look, it's pretty simple. If I need the money for a bill or something, then I want you to sign it out for me. But if it's just for some crap, then I don't want you to sign it out for me. Like, that's just basically how I'm going to save my money from now on. So he was like, well, yeah, okay then. So that's what we're doing, and it's working out really well. So I had a really good responsibility year. I sort of had sovereignty in the back of my mind, and I was mulling over it and thinking, what would it look like if I stepped into my power and spoke my truth and had more authenticity and integrity, and stepped into that sovereignty and being the sovereign ruler over myself and my own life. But I didn't achieve it until maybe later on in the year, when I sort of started to make YouTube videos again, and I went, right, I'm going to talk to my audience about what's going on for me right now. And that was when I made my life update video where I told you guys that my son was assessed and diagnosed with ASD, and everything that was going on for me at the time, which was basically that I wasn't doing so great mentally. And so that was just a huge step, because I really respect my viewers and the people who choose to subscribe to my channel. And I just wanted to be honest with you, because, you know, you've subscribed to my channel, you watch my videos, and for me to not tell you what's going on for me started to feel inauthentic. And so to start being authentic and stepping into my truth and power and sovereignty, I just wanted to be honest with my YouTube viewers. And so I did that, and slowly I started to step into my power a bit more, create more boundaries, set more boundaries in my life, and start to think about the person who I really wanted to be, and start stepping into being that person, rather than moving to the side, moving to the background, kind of feeling a little bit like, oh, what right do I have to be the person that I want to be? What if somebody doesn't like it? And I kind of just came to the conclusion of, right, there's always going to be somebody who doesn't like it. You've just got to be yourself anyway. It's better to be hated for who you are than loved for who you're not, or hated for who you're not anyway, which I kind of felt was the case. Like, with me not standing for anything and not standing up for what I believed in and being the person who I actually authentically was, I felt like I wasn't making any friends that way. And I feel like by actually being myself and letting the real me be shown a little bit, I actually was attracting more of my kindred spirits and my tribe, if you will, and that just helped a lot more. So I have started to step into sovereignty more just towards the end of last year and the beginning of this year. So I'm still working on sovereignty. Sovereignty is still a work in progress, but it's a really good word for the year to focus on. And my word for this year is officially nourish. So anything that doesn't nourish my body, mind, soul, spirit, I am working on focusing on nourish. So wanting to nourish myself in those ways with good food, good relationships, you know, all of the good things. So this is my nourish year. And yes, I got these gorgeous things from Fairy Sarah. I also got an Art Witch pin. And I struggle a little bit with my identity as an artist. I once struggled with my identity as a witch and no longer do. I'm now, like, I'm not out of the broom closet in all situations, but I'm pretty comfortable with calling myself a witch again. I used to have this thing, and just excuse me, I'm going to put on my Art Witch pin, but I used to think, well, am I really a witch? Maybe I'm not. Maybe other people have got more right to call themselves a witch than I do. And so I wasn't comfortable with that identity. And then I started to really step back into a strong resonance with the word witch. And a similar thing has started to happen with the word artist and the title of artist. So I used to sort of think, oh, well, maybe what I'm doing is not really art, and maybe I'm not really an artist, and I don't actually make art that often anymore, and this and that. So I've just recently started to want to call myself an artist more again, and to realize that I am just as worthy as any other person who makes art to call myself an artist. And so I've stepped back into that identity, and there's this whole story that I could tell you about how I used to identify as an artist and then stopped identifying as an artist, but I've decided that I'm not in the mood today. I'm in a good mood. I don't want to talk about anything that's a downer too much, and so that will be a story for another day. But for now, I just want to say that I have just as much right to call myself an artist as anybody else, and so do you. And so I think most people are creative in some ways, whether you make, you know, visual art, or whether you do dance like I do, right, with my belly dancing, or whether you write poetry. And I want to show you this beautiful anthology of poetry that I received in the mail yesterday from Joey Morris's Starry-Eyed Supplies, and I have already read most of it. It's quite beautiful, and you know, it's easy to look at something like this and go, oh, it's a beautiful book, it's a bound book of poetry, and the poems are really good, and there's a good amount of them. Oh, I wish that I could do that. I wish that I could publish some poetry one day. Oh, but maybe I never will. Well, why not? Of course you could. Anybody can. Like, I'm not saying that anybody could publish poetry the way that Joey can. Her poetry is phenomenal. The words touching and moving do not even begin to describe what Joey's poetry does to me. Like, that's why I bought the anthology. The word that she uses is pokes your shadow, and I absolutely feel that she is poking my shadow and just triggering that witch within me and that powerful inner being that knows how powerful I am and what magic can be and what life can be and what spiritual practice can be and all of that good stuff. And I kind of go, oh yeah, I remember about that. Let's do more of that. And I get really fired up. It's like she's lit a spark into this big roaring bonfire within me with my creativity and my spirituality. And it's really powerful the way that she can do that. And I'm not saying that everybody can do that, but what I am saying is that a lot of people write pagan poetry or spiritual poetry. And if you write spiritual poetry, then by all means, put it out there, get it heard, and maybe eventually one day get it published. Why not? You can do it. At the very least, put it on a forum or a Facebook page, show your friends, put it on a blog, you know, eventually maybe one day make an ebook, and maybe one day a beautiful little bound book like this. Like, why not? And to that note, I'm going to read out for you some of my personal poetry that I have written, if you will. If you don't want to listen to it, then, pardon me, better clear my throat and have a drink of water before that. And I'm drinking from a jam jar, don't judge me. So, hopefully my voice will hold up, but I will read to you some of my personal poetry that I have written. So the first one that I will read to you is a poem that I wrote for Avalon Cameron's Bonestone and Earth Flesh Tarot. She put out a competition for the official poem for her Bonestone and Earth Flesh Tarot that she created with artist Anaturian. And I absolutely love the Bonestone and Earth Flesh Tarot. It is everything that an earth-based, witchy, pagan, pardon me, all of that deck could possibly ever be. It is perfect. It absolutely nails it and hits the mark. And I think that the way, the vision that Avalon had for that deck and the way that Anna's art was so perfectly in line with that vision was just nothing short of magic. And I can't wait for it to be released. I can't wait to have the physical deck in my hot little hands. And I remember when Avalon first announced that she would be making a tarot deck, and then she announced that the title would be the Bonestone and Earth Flesh Tarot, I got this really powerful visual in my mind of, you know, bone is to stone and earth is to flesh, and just everything that represented to me. And I kind of had this little bit of a trippy visual kind of vision quest, if you will, like just spontaneously from hearing that title. And so when she said that she wanted someone to write a poem, this poem just absolutely flowed out of me. And it didn't get chosen, obviously, someone else's poem got chosen, and that's fine. So this is not the official Bonestone and Earth Flesh poem, but it is a Bonestone and Earth Flesh poem, and I'm proud of it. It represents everything that the deck represents to me, and I probably will convert this poem into some kind of a prayer or a invocation that I say before using the deck when I actually get it. So this is my Bonestone and Earth Flesh Tarot by Pandora Le Cora or Gemma, that's my real name. Okay, so, as the stone, so our bones. From the womb of our Mother Earth we are born, the foundation of our bodies, solid, rooted, grounded in form. As the earth, so our flesh, that which shifts and changes, vital fluid forming and arranging. As we connect to our earth through the traditions of yore, the earth-centered systems of those that came before. As we work with these cards that hold the energy of such, visceral and potent, with images that touch us, may we dare to be brave and connect to the wisdom, the power within us that knows where we came from. May we know what is needed to help us move forward, what remains like the bone stone, affirming what we know, and shifts like the earth flesh, fueling our growth. So I think that I will leave it there today. I won't say too much more. I have got another poem, but I think I might read that out another day, otherwise it will make for a very long video. But I just really wanted to make this video. I feel like I want to get something about creativity out there to hopefully inspire other people, and to just really affirm that we are all creative beings, and creativity is such an important part of our lives, and especially as magical people. Being both an artist and a witch, an art witch, right, is a truly magical thing. I think that art witches and artist witches are the best witches. They are the best creators, because they are creating something in the physical to, you know, it's just such an act of getting in there and creating change so quickly, and it can really bring about that huge energetic shift, and it makes our lives better. So what's not to love? Get creating. So thanks very much for watching, everyone, and I'll see you next time. Bye.